here we go. Maximum effort. Hello, YouTube. Lady Deadpool here. And with Disney now owning all of Marvel's IPs, cough, cough, except for Spider-Man, cough, cough, I think that it's finally time for me to pursue my childhood dream of being a Disney princess. So join me, won't you, as I embark on what will surely be my Disney princess era. Now, fortuitously, as I embark on this new chapter of my life, there is a list of criteria that explicitly describe what is required to become one of the canonical 13 Disney princesses officially recognized by the Walt Disney Company. Now, according to this list, a character must be a protagonist or main supporting character in an animated theatrical film produced by a studio owned by the Walt Disney Company that is the first film in its franchise, thus excluding characters introduced in sequels, direct-to-video films, and television series. The prospective princess must be human in her standard form, and in general should be a princess by way either of marriage to a prince or through herself descending from a monarch or tribal chief. Exceptionally heroic characters who do not have a royal title can also be included. Well, Disney, I think we have our first example of a loophole. And while I certainly do not have any royal heritage, I am totally down for being called a princess if that's something that would do it for you, Daddy Disney. Wink. But I think we should meet our competition. Because, of course, I always want to choose violence if given the option. And I'm not foolish enough as to think that Disney is going to allow me to be added on to this official Disney princess list. No, if I want on this list, I'm going to need to knock one of these ladies off it. What can I say? It's a cutthroat industry. So let's take a look at some of our competition and see who we have the best chance of supplanting. Now, we should address the elephant in the room, which is that these first three were kind of grandfathered in. It was the early days of animation, and Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is literally one of the first animated films, so they were still figuring things out. And the whole criteria of being heroic really wasn't a guarantee. I mean, what was the most heroic thing that Snow White did in her film? She trespassed in the dwarfs' home, took a nap on their beds, helped them clean, and yes, she gives us one of our first unofficial, but still, in my mind, very essential Disney princess traits, in that she is able to summon little furry woodland creatures simply through the melodic quality of her voice. Now, I will admit that I currently do not have a voice velvety enough to summon woodland creatures, although if I lowered it a little bit deeper and said the right words, maybe I could summon something else from the discerning gentlemen and ladies out there, if you're into that sort of thing, that is. But while I might bring out the animal in you, I don't think I'm going to be able to summon any actual animals. But I'm willing to change and willing to take vocal lessons to improve my singing, or better still, I'm willing to hire a animal trainer / handler who can train the animals to come to me on command. I never said that I wasn't willing to cheat. Now, as far as the strong depiction of a lady with agency goes, Snow White's pretty lacking. Again, it was a different time, but seriously, her true love doesn't even have a name. No other descriptors, just the prince. He just exists, kisses her without consent, waking her from her poison apple induced sleep at the oh so impressionable age of, 14? No wonder he doesn't have his name listed. They kept the name redacted to protect him from ending up on a list. Disney, she's 14. She shouldn't be getting True Love's anything. Well, it was a different time, I guess. But still, we've got, I think, a strong chance of knocking her off this list if we forget about the whole she was one of the first animated heroines of one of the first animated movies, blah, 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 first come, first served, etc., etc. Cinderella, however, takes some very progressive steps forward. First of all, we have a lady protagonist who has agency. She wants to go to the dance and goes to the dance. She rises up over the oppression of her wicked stepsisters, and she is 19 years old, which compared to Little Miss just turned teenager over here, yeah, she's practically an old hag. Although, with the whole trend of making live-action remakes, I think that Disney missed the mark here, because while this story has the benefit of upping the prince to now having a name that contains both the word prince and a descriptor, charming, I think that the subtext of this film with the glass slipper would have greatly been enhanced by having Quentin Tarantino direct the live-action adaptation. I mean, come on, just think about it. All those glass slipper scenes would have been a whole lot thirstier and a whole lot funnier. But I guess we can't have nice things. Next, we have Aurora. Now, Aurora is the strongest of the original three. And speaking from one blonde to another, I'm willing to admit that her story not only has one of the best Disney villains, but her own characterization is quite excellent. She is shown to be rather feisty and a little bit flirty, which I appreciate. And we also are given, what is this? A prince who has a name, Disney. You sly inventors, you. Who knew that princes could have names? I thought it was just a myth, like the Queen of England, or magnets. But no, we've got a prince here who not only has a name, but meets her when she's a baby, when they're betrothed, meets her again when they dance together, once upon a dream, and then wakes her with true love's first kiss. So romantic. And just like Cinderella and just like Snow White, she has the ability to summon woodland creatures to perform musical numbers with her. So again, we're just going to put a little tick in the need to have woodland animals column of my to-do list when it comes to making myself more eligible for the role of Disney princess. Although I am not opposed to fighting dirty, and while I don't think that I can knock her off this list, I do think that I can use her to help to justify why I could still be a Disney princess. Because I know what you're all thinking. Oh, you're the regenerating degenerate. You're the Merc with the mouth. You kill people and swear like a sailor. Also, I'm trying my best not to swear in this video, just so that Disney sees that I do have self-control. Point is, though, what makes you think that you could ever be family-friendly Disney princess material? Well, there's a little thing called retconning. Have you heard of it? Well, allow me to present Exhibit A. The original versions of the Sleeping Beauty fairy tale, specifically the exceedingly dark origin. Imagine you're a Disney executive and you're thinking, okay, we've just made 2 wonderful Disney princess fairy tales. What should we do for the next one? Ooh, I know. Let's take a story that contains these elements and make it for children. What elements am I talking about? Can I mention them on YouTube? I guess we'll find out. Now, in this story, the princess is called Talia instead of Aurora. And just like Aurora, she has the unique distinction of being the princess who has absolutely no control over her intrusive thoughts. Because seriously, how many people look at a spinning wheel and think, I wonder if that spindle's sharp. I better touch it just to be sure. Yeah, it's okay, dear. We all let our intrusive thoughts win sometimes. But what she isn't able to control are the actions of her quote-unquote romantic partner. In this version, she falls asleep and is seated on a velvet throne by her father, who tries to forget his misery of what he thinks is her death, and closes the doors and abandons the house forever, leaving her there all alone. Then one day, a king from another nation, again, no name, and this time you can tell that clearly the reason there's no name is because it's an old fairy tale and they didn't want to add extra details. Or, I argue, Your Honor, that his name has been omitted to protect the guilty, because this king, while walking by the house, has one of his falcons unfortunately fly into the home. The king knocks, hoping to be let in by someone, but when no one answers, he decides to do what anyone would do and break into the home by climbing in with a ladder. Ah, the old, "Oh no, my falcon flew into your house, and so I had to go after it. It wasn't breaking and entering, it was a rescue mission" defense. Pull the other one, king. It's got bells on. After breaking and entering, he decides to add additional crimes to his record when he finds Talia alive but unconscious. And in this state, he decides to do, yes, this to her. He impregnates her. Disney, what the actual mother flarking pink elephant hell. Seriously. Afterwards, he leaves, having had his fun, and goes back to his kingdom. And although Talia is unconscious, she gives birth to twins. Look at it. Look at it. Gives birth. Gives birth to twins. Twins. One of whom keeps sucking on her finger, causing Talia to awaken because the twin sucked the piece of flax from her finger, which in this story is the cause as opposed to the pricking of the needle on the spindle of the spinning wheel. She then awakens to discover, oh wait, I'm a mother. And yes, the king is still the romantic hero of the story because he later comes back and decides to marry her, even though he already has a queen who ends up being an evil queen and blah, blah, blah. There's a whole extra section to the story. You still can't get past this. This isn't a meet cute. This is a crime. A crime, Disney. And so you thought that all the murders that I've committed in my Merc for the mouth capacity were inexcusable. Well, Your Honor, I argue that Disney has already proven that they are willing to whitewash and retcon stories to make them more family friendly. So when it comes time for my big Disney standalone film, they will have plenty of options to make me more family friendly. Now, let us continue. So, leaving the Disney classical era, we enter the Disney Renaissance. Actually, wait, I think they skipped. The film was released, 1989, but Star Wars was released in the 70s. And Princess Leia of Alderaan, it's literally in her name. Is she not on the list? It's chronological, so she should be there. Excuse me? But Leia's a badass and Disney owns Star Wars. Let me see. Maybe she's in the live action section for some reason. Ha! Live action section. Oh, Disney. Way to go and make something that no one asked for and no one wants to rewatch. And yes, I know, I could easily fit in with the live action section if I wanted to, but I want to be amongst the elite, not amongst the dregs that no one asked for. Let's see, Belle, Leia. Here, girl. Leia. No, she's not here. Is she disqualified? Is it because she was sucking on her brother's face? In her defense, she didn't know that Luke was her brother at the time. And if we're honest, I don't think that Lucas knew that Leia and Luke were brother and sister at the time either. So surely, if Disney's willing to whitewash the horrors of Aurora's story, certainly they can whitewash just a little bit of incest. Although incest was the thing that stopped them from producing Back to the Future when it was pitched to them in the 80s. So maybe that's a sticking spot for them. Okay, I need to see the criteria again. Maybe it's described there why she isn't allowed to be a Disney princess. Needs to be a theatrical film produced by a studio owned by the Walt Disney Company. Well, retroactively, it is owned. Main or supporting character. She's a supporting character, or arguably could be seen as the main character, since she's the one that starts things. In an animated, look, I'll get my head out of the way. Animated. Okay, so, well, we've learned our next important criteria. A Disney princess, if they want to be official, must sing and summon little woodland animals. They must have a prince name, optional, and they must be animated. Fortunately, I am very animated, even in live action, so I don't think that's going to be an issue. All right, well, let's get back to that list then. If we don't have Leia, I think our chances are going up significantly. Actually, wait. I went through this list, didn't I? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Where's Elsa and Anna? They're some of the biggest animated characters in the world. Why aren't they on this list? All right, let's go. Or more specifically, let's let it go. Me getting on this list just became incredibly easier. I don't have to contend with Leia or with Anna and Elsa. Why aren't they here? Was it in the criteria? Let's see. Marketability is also a key factor in whether a character is chosen for inclusion in the Disney Princess line. Characters from unsuccessful Disney franchises are generally not considered. In the case of Elsa and Anna, they are eligible by Disney Princess standards, but have only sporadically blah, blah, blah. Because standalone success of Frozen franchise made bundling them into the Princess line unnecessary. So wait, they weren't allowed in because they're too successful? So as far as Disney is concerned, if she's a 10, but her movie made too much money, she's not worthy? What? Disney, what kind of bullshit are you selling here? Does it go into greater detail on the Princess Wiki list? What does it say here? Let's just go past all these. Okay, it does have them here in the honorary unofficial princess section. What? Despite not being an official princess due to her franchise surpassing theirs. Yes. So you can be too successful? Well, Disney, I'll have you know that I am more than happy to be only mildly successful. If you want a lower bar and someone who is more attainable, I am your gender non-conforming tom girl. Dang. Wait. Actually, what happened to Kida from Atlantis? She's a princess too. And she's a badass. Is she not on this list either? Oh, she's in the honoraries. Well, what was her problem? However, the film's release received a lot of criticism because it was not a musical. Okay, so she isn't a princess officially in the Disney canon, one of the 13 elite, either because her film didn't make enough money or because it wasn't a musical. But that's what made Atlantis so cool. It was a Disney version of Indiana Jones movie. Their slogan at one point was less songs, more explosions. What the actual heck? Then again, I don't know why I'm expecting some form of consistency from Disney. This is a company that has Pluto and Goofy in the same universe. One's a dog and one's a man, and they're both basically the same. So, all right, let's just make a note. We have the Elsa example where you need to be successful but not too successful, but let's take away from the Kida example that it definitely needs to be a musical just to be on the safe side, and also needs to be successful enough. ? Okay. All right. You know what? I think that we don't need to go any further. With titans like this off the list, I think that we can make an excellent argument already. So, I believe that while this wiki is all well and good, that I can improve it with a little bit of editing magic. Da 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 da. Ta-da! All right, so here we have my presentation for consideration as an official Disney princess. As you see here, we have replaced the barely teenager, who really should be in school, with a Lady Deadpool, who is the female counterpart of Deadpool from an alternate reality, Earth 3010, named Wanda Wilson. She was created by writer Victor Grisler and artist Rob Liefeld. Ah, Robbie Rob. Couldn't draw feet to save his life. And never did figure out how spines work. Anyway, where was I? Oh yes. First officially appeared in Deadpool Merc with the Mouth, number 7 in January 2010. Which means there is over a decade of stories that you can draw from and work your Disney magic on to smooth out the murder and the swearing and make it something that any child would be happy to look up to. Well, thank you ever so much for joining me on this journey. And I will see you in my upcoming starring role in Lady Deadpool, the musical, where I will evidently need to kiss a prince after only knowing him a short amount of time and attract animals with my singing, while being animated and being successful in that role, but not too successful. Sounds doable to me.